just in front of you so they can see who you are. That's what I would do.
Okay, we're live, and there's a quorum of the Community Housing Committee, so I open the October 23rd, 2023 meeting. And here is an official announcement. This is to formally advise that is required by Mass Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18 to 25, pursuant to Chapter 20, Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law June 16, 2021, extended by Chapter 2 of Acts of 2023. The Community Housing Committee will hold a public meeting at the time and place stated herein this notice. The public is welcome to attend either in person or via the Zoom link published on the agenda with the town clerk and on the town's website, with a minimum of 48-hour notice to the public. This meeting is being recorded. So there are no, I think I'll leave it at that for now.
Yep.
Since we have, I'm going to call the first order of business on the agenda. And the first order of business is under committee business, the reorganization of committee officers. And
So Lorraine expects that she's going to be out for several meetings. She is the chair. She's willing to be the administrative chair if you want, but it might be better if we had a chair in person, and when she gets back, we can change that again. I don't know if you want to just open up nominations or self-nominate.
I nominate Drew.
well, what is I'd like to hear an opinion on whether Lorraine, for the time being, should remain as chair. Maybe have someone else like me, for example, as vice chair, or should I be declared chair?
Problem with you about being chair is you're
Not,
a full member when somebody is not here.
right,
Oh,
right,
So you're perfect for vice chair.
exactly.
Because you'll
I'm the
never have to-
representative of the Yarmouth Housing Authority, and that has a special status. I'm called an alternate
Yeah. Now,
member.
so the chair approves the agendas.
Right.
Sometimes works with me on memos and correspondence. Sometimes goes up to the town administrator's office to kind of coordinate things. So the chair does have more responsibilities than just being at the meeting and,
Right,
running the meetings. At times, chairs have, sometimes I go in front of the Board of Selectmen. Sometimes chairs have taken on that role and is the actual spokesperson for the committee.
Yep.
But I fill in. And when we have meetings reviewing Chapter 40Bs, the chair conducts those meetings as though it were something in front of the Board of Health or the Zoning Board of Appeals or the Planning Board. So it can get very formal very quick. You're going to see that we're going to get a, hi Bob, you're going to see that we're going to get a request for a rent increase. And the property owner has employed a lawyer for that. So it's going to that's going to be a very formal, piece. So that's what the chair does. The vice chair fills in for when the chair is not available.
yeah. My personal instinct for me as a person would be, if people wanted me to be the vice chair, I think that might be very appropriate, but chair doesn't seem like it's a good fit due to my status as a rep from the Housing Authority. I'm not sure about Lorraine. Maybe she can still be the chair for the time being to fulfill those administrative duties.
well, are you suggesting, Mary, that we need somebody to fill in as a chair, and then we'll decide if that could be as permanent or not? And who in this committee might qualify, not counting me? So we have two new members. So maybe they need to get their feet wet a little bit first, is my thought.
I absolutely agree.
And then that leaves 3 people who've been on the committee, but I am not offering myself. We need more people who are, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Drew?
Well, just like,
Masha does not want to be chair. I think she told me she doesn't want to be.
how about you, Myra? What are your thoughts about it?
I personally think that we should elect Lorraine as chair.
Mm-hmm.
And if she can, whatever she can do, and then you fill in as vice chair when she can't be here. So I would like to nominate Lorraine.
Is there a second to that nomination?
Second.
Okay, so Myra nominates Lorraine for chair, Josh seconds. Now we'll have a vote on that, okay?
I just have a question.
Okay,
First,
sure.
I apologize for being late.
Okay.
What does Lorraine think?
She'll do whatever you guys want.
Yeah,
She will.
Lorraine's willing. We have
Oh, okay.
established that. yeah.
Okay,
So
I'm
she's
sorry, I didn't.
right. It's
No,
just it's
that's a
just,
good, very good question. And we wouldn't have gone this far without having talked with her about it, absolutely.
She's emailing me. We're in communications.
Oh, okay,
That's just she's not comfortable coming here yet.
okay,
So
Okay?
okay. Then I-
Okay, so I guess we're all on the same page, so we can have a vote on Lorraine Doyle to be chairman going forward of the committee. Marcia? Your vote is
Yes. aye,
yes?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Yes?
Aye.
I vote yes. Lee?
I vote no.
Okay.
Aye.
Josh? Okay. So, all in favor but one, and so Lorraine will be the chair going forward.
I nominate Drew for vice chair.
Okay,
I second that nomination.
okay. Any discussion on that? Okay, so we'll have a vote for me as vice chair. I'll start with you, Josh.
Aye.
Okay?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
So Drew is elected vice chair by unanimous vote. It's been brought to my attention by, that we should have a clerk. And traditionally, one of the main duties of a clerk is to take the minutes. Mary, in our case, is going to, plans to continue to take the minutes. Mary, what would another duty, an important function of the clerk be?
if the chair and the vice chair wasn't present, there is a third person that could chair the meeting.
Right, okay.
That's usually why town staff like to have a clerk.
So that's why we want to designate one of us as clerk. So it's kind of between, now Marcia, I know you probably would rather, I have the feeling you would not like to do that.
No, I've told Mary that I'm resigning from the committee as of the end of my 1-year
Okay,
assignment. So
okay.
by the end of this year, I will not be on the committee.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
So that leaves Lee, Josh, Myra, and John. Anybody?
I'm willing to take on the third in line if nobody else
Okay.
wants to.
Okay, Josh, that's the spirit. Young, strong, capable.
Yeah, young and strong. Young and strong is a biggie.
This is a campaign speech for Josh. Why don't one of you?
You want to do you want to have a
Why don't you
motion.
three make a motion to, if you choose, make a motion to nominate Josh for clerk?
I nominate Josh.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay. Now we'll vote for Josh for clerk. Marcia?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Myra? Aye.
Lee, aye.
Sorry, Lee.
You can't vote. Well, can you vote?
Yeah,
you
I think
can.
a person can vote for themselves. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I forgot to say your name. Lee voted aye. Okay, so Joshua is now been elected clerk of the committee. So that takes care of the reorganization of committee offices. Now we're on to accepting the minutes of the previous meeting. What's the status of the minutes?
There's no minutes.
Okay, so we're going to zoom to New business, the Board of Selectmen goals, and we have electronic and/or paper copies of those goals somewheres.
So they're in your packet. They have 7 identified goals, and what stuck out to me was number 4, explore the reuse and/or redevelopment of the Mattokees Middle School property.
Right.
So, and as a sub-item, number 1, appoint the Mattokees School Utilization Committee. So if anybody is interested in that committee, I would contact Dorcas McGurran, who's on the Board of Selectmen and is the appointments chair,
Right.
and just contact her. She interviewed most of you for the committee. And if you don't know how to get in touch with her, I can help you with that, but I would go right to the top, right, go right to her and ask her what the process is. Do you have to put in another talent bank form? Is it a different letter of interest? Is it your CV? But that's why that's there. We have a meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust tomorrow at 3, no, 4. And I have this in their packet too. Just, in past years, they've actually called out affordable housing on the goals, so I just wanted to see where we fit in here. They are doing, lots of stuff. There's lots of stuff, and they may have limited it to 7 items, just so they didn't, so they would concentrate their efforts on those, so. And maybe we're doing a good enough job that we don't need to be on the emergency list, I don't know, so I'll find out.
Okay. Now we come to number 3, old business, the housing production plan, which has been revised according to our deliberations. And I think this draft of October 2023 has red shows the revisions, and a little bit shows things that might have been struck out. Right, Mary?
Yes. So in your packet, you should have the selectmen's comments on the housing production plan from August 1st, 2021. The latest version I sent you has some titles in there. The town planner and the director of community development read these comments, and our town planner put in some titles, kind of figuring out where those comments would fit in our HPP. There's also a one-page sheet that looks like this. This is our updated subsidized housing inventory. And so these are the 2 documents that led to the redlining in here. So it's mostly, at the beginning and kind of middle to end.
Did you want to, say certain pages for us
Yeah.
to flip to? Yeah.
Yep. So I'll just take you through it. On page 2, there's a numeric update based on the subsidized housing inventory numbers. Basically, the state determined that the town has 12,391 year-round units, which is up from our estimate of 11,500 significantly, probably because a lot of people who were, living in more urban areas or congested areas have moved down permanently to the Cape due to the COVID pandemic. So that's very interesting. It does bump us down percentage-wise. For our percent affordable is now 4.96. We were over 5% before that number came out. Now we're under, but that's okay.
Tiny difference.
Yeah.
But it looks bad.
We have
'cause
the
it's a-
same, almost the same number of units. I'm off by, I disagree with the state by 1.
Okay,
I
yeah.
thought we had 616, they saying we have 615, and then how that impacts us in this plan too is our minimum number of units we have to produce every year to be certified is now 67,
7?
I think it's
Yeah.
67, yeah. Where it was like in the 50s before. Yeah, it's 62.
62.
It used to
okay.
be 57, now we have to produce in 1 year 62
Okay.
to get a free pass from Chapter 40B for a year. That's page 2. On page 3, you can see the red 62, that's our new annual number. Things kind of stay the same, and then we get to housing strategies on page 7, and you'll see 7, 8, and 9, and you see lots of red lines. So these are directly from the Board of Selectmen comments. You know, basically, the actions are intended to promote housing that is linked to infrastructure, promotes mixed use if created in existing commercial areas, doesn't outcompete commercial development, designed for workers of Yarmouth-based businesses by providing for older and disabled households, located and engineered to protect drinking water and open water resources. And then I kind of put them in the grid, the next 2 pages.
Okay. Wonder where the next red stuff is.
I didn't flag it.
Pretty far back, pretty far
I
down?
think it's, so, I think,
I just remember earlier you showed me certain pages like those, and maybe in the
page
50s?
Up. Page,
Well, on page 49 at
41.
41, yeah.
Page 41. This is an update of the SHI numbers.
Subsidized housing inventory.
Right.
I still need to say that out loud, or I'll forget what it means. I'm not like you.
That's HR means.
Subsidized housing inventory. That's an
That's
official
That's
thing.
the inventory, the affordable housing inventory. The next page, I just have it highlighted because I'm not sure, I think the state is off by 1, but anyways. I think we have 616 affordable units. Right now, they're saying 615 for some reason. And then on page 49, Forest Road has been struck from the plan. I took
That
it
was a
out.
question I had.
That was a big thing to them, yeah.
So Forest Road has been struck from this. Is that what
I
you said?
redlined that description of it. People were not happy with this description of it. I don't think anybody is going to be happy with the description of it, so it's mentioned a little bit later. But,
But as far as a proposed project, it's,
Right.
okay.
right.
But it is mentioned somewhere in here, you said?
You know, there's a list of actions by the town, what we've done.
Yes.
And there was a vote
This is the
to
2013
take back
vote? Yeah.
money. CPA had, and then followed by a town meeting vote, had awarded over $1 million to the Housing Authority for the soft costs for developing that land. And there was no action on that for 3 years. So town meeting took the money back. They rescinded the award. What I didn't catch at the time when that happened was that was by citizen petition.
That was, I'm sorry?
By citizen petition. I thought it was put on the warrant by the Community Preservation Committee, and it wasn't. It was a citizen's petition, which I never caught. So let me see if I can find,
Citizen petition
To take the money
primarily the abutters?
I've never, I did not see who the petitioners were.
Okay.
I'll have to find it.
That's a historical fact that doesn't
Yeah, it's.
change any current
Right.
actions in any way.
And
Hopefully
Forest
I'll
Road
find
was
it.
because of water quality and neighbor, Captain's Village and all of that complied.
Why the money was taken back?
No, the decision to eliminate Forest Road.
From this plan?
Yeah,
Direct comment from the Board of Selectmen.
okay.
The Board of Selectmen said they were uncomfortable approving the plan with Forest Road in it. So it's kind of like,
Well, let's back
That
up a little
came
bit.
from comments from Captain, I'm just going by what I read.
Yeah,
in
so
this.
I want to reset
I'm trying, yeah.
this a
trying to
little
get-
bit. The thing we keep calling the Forest Road project has to do with land that's owned not by the town of Yarmouth.
Okay,
Okay, it's not owned by the town of Yarmouth. It happens to be land that's owned by another body, the Yarmouth Housing Authority. And they are proposing to develop the land that they own by putting out a request for proposals and have a developer propose a subsidized housing development. And it had been included in here, I think, you can explain it. It had been included in here because if it is built, it will add to the subsidized housing inventory of the town of Yarmouth, even though it's not strictly speaking. Anyway, that's my
the town
understanding.
is not
Right.
actively working on that development, but it's going to add to our subsidized housing inventory count. So typically, those prospects are put into your housing production plan.
So as this proposal moves forward from the Yarmouth Housing Authority, there indeed will be, there are and there will be people who will oppose it.
so it is still active then?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
and so the Board of Selectmen didn't want to, they felt there was confusion going on there about what was happening. And this is the way of eliminating that confusion. It doesn't affect that proposal going forward separately. Does that make sense to you, John? Okay. Does that seem right to you?
That was nicely done, thank you.
Oh, well,
You could be vice chair.
well, I'm part of the Yarmouth Housing Authority, so I know what it is. And
You're probably more up in that than, yeah.
that's what's happening. So you'll read plenty about it as the years go by.
And then I took the opportunity to add two things. This plan, I think, was written more than, it might be 2 years ago. So a couple of things have happened. One, on page 49, you'll see the Affordable Housing Trust provided $489,000 to Habitat to purchase a lot of land on Route 28. That got closed. Now Habitat owns that land, so that's another project coming up. And also, we have a new program for Greenfield redevelopment. It's soft costs for developers.
I need to be reminded the difference between gray field and green field.
Gray is like, think of a blighted property
Blighted,
that hasn't been
right.
painted in years and is all gray.
Field is
Forested,
forested. It's that simple.
that's how I look
Okay.
at it.
All right.
So we do, these plans also ask you to look at town-owned land. And we were doing that for a while, but we have so many greenfields on Route 28. We changed the focus from, developing forested land to redeveloping disturbed land. And when you think about, when we made that decision, no sewering prospect was going on in town. So maintaining trees is important for your water quality. So that's how that decision was made. So I think we're going to stay away from those for a while because we've got a lot to do on other sites. And I'm so proud of the trust for going forward with that, so thank you, Myra. Then on page 56, I wanted to address, there was some comments made about if we can afford a home ownership program or not. So I just acknowledge that that's one of the considerations that we use when we're looking at the mix of housing. Should the town focus on rentals? Should the town focus on home ownership? Home ownership, should it be a mix of the two? So one of the things that led us to the next page is that for affordable home ownership, there's a pretty deep subsidy compared to rental. And that led to us setting on page 57, the percentage of mix between the two types. So home ownership, this plan calls for the percentage of all new affordable units coming on should be 20% home ownership and 80% rental. So mostly rental, but still some home ownership. So that was to address that comment.
Okay.
Next stuff is on page 59 and 60. There was some comments made about the importance of, keeping our environmental quality good in town, especially our drinking water and our open waters. So I just highlighted some stuff that was already in the plan. When we go back to the Board of Selectmen, they'll get a copy of their comments and how we addressed them, right? So I'll cite page 59 and 60. Whenever there was a comment about water quality, I'll cite these 2 pages. And I also added that there was an opportunity for the town to buy 10 lots of land on Higgins Kroll, and the town opted to buy that for drinking water
Right.
protection.
Yeah.
So there was a comment that we need to act to protect drinking water. We have to pat ourselves on the back when we do. We did that.
You can't just let that disappear into the mist.
Right, like
Right.
the 10, it was divided for 10 housing lots.
Right.
There could have been 10 houses
So
put
there
on there.
was such an action, and you're,
But the town decided to buy it for drinking water
Mm-hmm.
protection, because there's a wellhead nearby, so. And then on page 63, talks about, they wanted to marry housing with infrastructure. I just wanted to highlight for them where we discussed that a little bit. They might want more.
Does this go back to the board again?
This has to, so right, so the plan has been endorsed by this committee. It went to the planning board, it got endorsed. It went to the Board of Selectmen, they had too many comments to vote. So my plan is to change it, bring it back to the Board of Selectmen, incorporate their comments, bring it back to the Board of Selectmen. Hopefully they'll say yes. It'll have to go back to the planning board as revised. And hopefully they'll say yes, and then we can submit it up to the state.
By the time this is approved and gets forward, you'll have to do the next one.
So I have until the 2030 census to get this done. They want you to update it every 5 years, but the census data comes out every 10, so.
the thing is, I was at the meeting where they didn't vote on it, and you really are addressing all the things that they brought up at the meeting.
Yeah.
They also, one selectman in particular said, can we have further workshops about this? Is that alive or not alive?
So after we go through these, you guys have to decide if you want more time to look at them or you're comfortable with me
Okay.
pushing this forward. Then it's a memo from this committee to the Board of Selectmen,
Right.
saying, okay, here's the, we feel we've put your comments in the plan. Do you want a workshop? Do you want to just look
Okay.
at it? Do you want to put it under consent agenda, hint, hint? I don't think it's going to go under consent agenda.
That means it goes through
Myron knows what I'm talking about.
quickly, right?
Yeah, right. They just look at it and say, no more need for
Okay.
further discussion. But they are very interested in affordable housing, and they did have a lot of questions. More on that later. There was a PowerPoint
Right.
and I'm thinking that maybe that we should workshop with that PowerPoint with them, because that
Yeah.
answered a lot of their questions.
Right.
So to continue on the next page, 65, I just updated, this is where it is. So I just updated the Habitat for Humanity, and also footnote 30 refers to, I think it's bullet number 8. So bullet number 8 says, funding for the development of affordable elderly rental housing at the Yarmouth Housing Authority's Forest Road property, $1 million. So that was something that town meetings, Community Preservation Committee recommended that town meeting do, and town meeting awarded $1 million for this. So this funding was rescinded, this is the footnote, this funding was rescinded in 2013 by a town meeting vote by citizen petition demonstrating waning support for the proposal.
And that was important, that footnote you felt was needed to be there to just,
Yeah, before it said something like, due to project delays.
I see.
And I don't think that, the citizens didn't think, and I kind of agree with them, it wasn't just because of project
This
delays.
is
It was brought forward by citizens petition by people who did not want the
correct, okay,
proposal, which
right, so
I
this is,
learned recently.
yeah.
So may I ask? Forest Road development is not going to be just for elderly, is that correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep.
Okay,
Mostly because the funding for 55-plus developments
Yeah.
has dried up.
I know
It's
that,
just,
yeah.
that's correct, yeah.
it's difficult to do.
Right.
And plus, everybody needs some. And then page 67, one of the selectmen were talking about, outreach and education and how they only hear negative comments about affordable housing. So I just wanted to note that we started in 2022, started to design a robust outreach and education program. That this committee is involved in that. The next page, as you know, the state's housing department changed names. Used to be DHCD, now it's the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. It's actually a cabinet ranked department, so. So I-
Everybody's starting to call it just HLC. Which is
HLC.
cool, because that's easy to remember for me.
And there's some numeric updates, we already went forward over those. And then on page 69, 70, 71, I redlined the old chart and put forth a new one. So the two main motivations for changing the chart, and this is our production chart, is that we now have to get to 62 units, not 57, because our SHI changed, our subsidized housing inventory figures changed. And also, I had originally counted on 45 units from Forest Road towards year one. The Board of Selectmen do not want to see that project in the plan, so I replaced that with two private developments in the Route 28 corridor, redeveloping old motel properties. Those are two developments that are actively discussing redevelopment. One is at 77 Route 28, and the other one is at 91 Route 28. So they're actively discussing redevelopment, and they would, as Drew put it, those developments would add to our SHI, so that's why they're on the
Subsidized housing inventory.
Yep. And so between those two, we end up with 72 units. One thing for, when you do homeownership affordable housing, you count the actual affordable units in the development. When you're doing affordable rental development, if there's 25% minimum affordable rental units, all of the units count on the inventory, the affordable and the market rate.
So the state wrote a law that way at some point to specify
Yeah,
that.
it's a regulation. It's a regulation. It's a bonus for doing affordable rental. And it's been that way for decades. So, yeah.
Okay.
So that's why those two developments, they might not have,
They might be 25%
Yeah.
actually affordable, but as a reward for that, you get to
they
count them
all
all.
go on. So that's how, yep.
It's classic.
And then, again, I see more redevelopment on Route 28, Grayfield redevelopment, the Habitat development. Another thing on Route 28, scattered site infill. Might not be on Route 28, but could be anywhere in town. And then the purchase of 2 affordable rental units. That gets us to 62. In year 3, I'm hoping that one of our town-owned parcels of land get developed. I have 2 in mind. Then again, we return to the Route 28 Economic Corridor, scattered site infill, and then sewer hookups. If we put aside enough money that the sewer hookup, the assistance for a sewer hookup is significant, we can put an affordable housing deed rider on that property. So it's something that we have to figure out. By year 4, which is 2027, we're thinking that there'll be enough sewering done that the village center overlay bylaw will start to be used, and that will produce dramatic change to Route 28. If there's housing, there's an affordable housing component. Then the scattered site infills, more sewer hookups, and 2 more purchases for townwide rental affordable units. And then year 5, if Matakee's school property gets redeveloped for housing, there will be units that will qualify for the subsidized housing inventory on that. I estimate another greenfield redevelopment on Route 28, scattered site infill, and additional sewer hookups.
Just a minor point of difference, I note, on page 49, it references the money going to or that Habitat's, getting the land to build 6 affordable homes. And yet, on this chart on page 69, it says 5. So,
Yep, I can change that, thank you.
6, I think.
We're actually going back and forth 5 or 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, that, I'm sorry.
Put it down both ways, and then one of them will be right.
In one version, I put them all as 5, so thank you, yeah. Because it's over an acre of land, so our stormwater regs kick in. And
That
we
means-
might not be able to fit the 6th unit, but
Oh.
we might be able to. They were, what I told them was 5 or 6 units, the Affordable Housing Trust is still going to support the project. I mean, if you can't fit 6 units because of stormwater and we have a water quality problem, then, we want them to comply with stormwater regs. Now, these are kind of, talked about more in this document. I don't know if you all still have it. Where it goes through these kind of like lots.
Yeah.
They've approached either the building commissioner or the town planner or me, or, we've known about them for years. And like Drew said, they would add to the shy, so that's why they're on that list.
It's not in this packet tonight, correct?
I didn't put it in this packet.
We have it in an earlier.
Yeah. Do you want a copy? Because I have extra copies.
I think I
Yeah.
probably have it, but
It looks like, it was just to give you an idea of where these lots were and, okay. So I struck everything from the old chart, just to make it fresh and clean and new. And then on 72, I tried to incorporate the selectmen's, or highlight the selectmen's comments. On page 73, you know, it says that our strategies are reflected in the prior, at the bottom, it says where it's right, the sentence above where the red is. It says, these strategies are also reflect the priority actions that are included in other local plans, including, and I have the Board of Selectmen's goals. So that's why I want to ask them tomorrow and say, because there's one member of the Board of Selectmen and then the town administrator will be at that meeting. And I'll say, okay, you know, explain where it is in the goals. So I'll finish page 73 once I hear back from them. Page 78. So right now in town, at the top, right now in town, we have some zoning bylaw that has some zoning that allows for seasonal employee housing. So it's something that if there's a business that has year-round workers that they want to house, that might be an area that zoning could allow them, like a higher density of housing on their property, more top of the shop. So that's where that comes from. I guess there's some top of the shop housing that allows maybe 1 or 2 units on the property. So there's, the town planner is saying, well, maybe we could look at that and allow 3 to 4 units instead. Then on page 84, I introduced some I think these are actions, hold on.
Allow housing concentration linked to infrastructure with mixed use. Oh, that's allow housing concentration linked to infrastructure
If you just bear with me.
use.
On page 8 and 9, that chart that I added some rows to, each one of those strategies have to be described in much more detail towards the end of this document. So that's what I've done. These red lines from this point on are all new strategies that I had in that chart, and they're there to incorporate the Board of Selectmen's comments. So so on page 84, number 5, allow housing concentrations linked to infrastructure with mixed use in sync with economic development goals. Really long, yeah.
Pretty complex.
Municipal
sentence.
employees
Yeah.
wrote that. So I just talk about how on April 25th, 2023, annual town meeting authorized the sum of $207 million to implement Phase 1 of the town's comprehensive wastewater management plan. All right.
Means
I also-
sewers, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
So it talks about the zoning we have, the money we have for Grayfield developments, and just the next steps is, with the base components of zoning, funding and infrastructure in place, the town can now prioritize the use of housing as an economic redevelopment tool in areas that are underutilized or blighted in a way that promotes new commercial development via mixed-use development.
So this means that when the sewer is completed, there's a lot more opportunity to have different kinds of residences and
Right.
mixed, and more dense residences and stuff, density.
And, you know, people, there's a lot of, most of the land in the Route 28 economic corridor is privately owned, right? But you can assist developers who want to produce affordable housing, right? technical assistance, sometimes we run lotteries for people, sometimes we give them money. And you would, to get this done, you would say, well, we want a mixed-use component. We want to maintain the commercial use on that space. So we'll see what happens. It's not outzoned. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't say you can only have residential in these areas if you have mixed use. That's not what the zoning says. The zoning says this, or a mix. It says residential, commercial, or a mix. So to incentivize people to go into the mode of mixed use, the Affordable Housing Trust can help with that.
Okay.
The next one is on page 85, number 6, explore housing linked to Yarmouth workers, seniors, and disabled. So I have a lingering sentence. There is still ... I never finished that thought, so. All right, so the
true it
current
is.
status is the town has received an increasing number of requests for housing directly linked to Yarmouth businesses. So there's a lot of public comment that we want to have housing for local workers. There has been some permission granted on a temporary and seasonal basis for Yarmouth workers. So this just talks about, and then we have also it acknowledges that the town has had a strong history of supporting senior and disabled housing. We have the Yarmouth Housing Authority units. We reuse the high school across the way for senior housing, and we promote smaller units. Whenever somebody does a development, I always ask, can you give us a few smaller units? And we're always asking new construction to be completely accessible. So the next step is, that the town should define what workforce housing is. Everybody throws that term out. What exactly are we looking for? It's different than affordable housing. It implies that the household is actively engaged and working. Investigate zoning that will increase the density for top-of-the-shop residential units, and making the seasonal worker provision permanent. We should also investigate zoning which could lead to employee housing situated on site of a business where a job position and housing would be linked. So it's something to investigate.
Okey dokey.
It's funny because these things come on the table and off the table all the time. On page 93, it talks about outreach to media. No, I'm sorry. This is about, I think, oh gosh, this is a long one.
What page are you looking at?
So it starts on page 88, and it's under the strategy, strengthening community support for affordable housing with ongoing community education and outreach. So we've done a lot to address the Board of Selectmen comments. I added on page 93. Additionally, the town will invite and encourage consumers of affordable housing, that should be 2, fully participate in local government and outreach and education efforts.
Wonder what comment that was. I'm looking at the,
I think that was in response, I'm trying to respond to the comment that some Board of Selectmen only hear the bad things about affordable
Okay.
housing,
Yeah.
and that we have a lot of consumers of affordable housing here in town. We have 616 units, right? So I think there was a desire to kind of hear from the consumers of affordable housing. So, we can, outreach to these more and more. We do have a housing authority, we do have affordable housing complexes. We can.
speak up publicly when appropriate.
Yeah, we can invite we can invite the tenants to join a committee. to come to our meetings, that kind of stuff. So,
Both Joshua and I spoke up at the planning meeting.
good. Then on page 99, number 7, build
I know.
new and strengthen existing.
Well, my point was of people who are living in affordable housing.
Oh, yeah, right,
That's
right,
right.
right, right,
That
right.
was my point.
I
I know
get
you
it.
spoke up too.
Right.
But we
So,
spoke
yeah.
up.
That's right. They
and-
did
and,
speak up.
Yeah,
Yes, you did.
that is
And you know,
really
it
great.
does, one does need encouragement to speak up, because it's a little bit intimidating, because the basic tenor is negativity, you know, and you have to say, okay, I'm going to buck this trend, you know, right? And say the opposite. So I understand why people don't come rushing up to engage in a controversy, you know, but it's a good thing to
Well, my
encourage.
message was, one person was talking about being displeased with the unit in her neighborhood and how they were violating what the regulations were, and she didn't want to drop a dime on the neighbor. And my message was, that's how I got the house I'm in, because somebody in the neighborhood dropped a dime. So it might help somebody like me, we waited a year to get a house. So
Right.
I thought dropping a dime was a good thing.
Yeah, your comments really were effective on, I thought they were good, yeah.
Well, I think Joshua and I both, but it's a challenge to get up and reveal yourself like that.
Yeah.
In an atmosphere that's sort of anti, you know, who are these people, and
So I remember when Yarmouth, both neighborhood meetings for Yarmouth Commons and Yarmouth Gardens. And I remember Yarmouth Gardens in particular, because this young woman got up and was starting to, you know, say, I need affordable housing. And she was like, and she goes, and I'm expecting a baby. And everybody went in the room went, oh, okay, like now we understand why there's like this panic in this woman's voice. But because she was brave enough to get up there and say, here, we're living in a 1-bedroom unit, we need a 2-bedroom unit now, the whole tenor of the room just changed. It just melted away that ookiness. And that was at Yarmouth Gardens meeting, and then there was an EMT guy that got up and said, how come I can't be your neighbor? I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
I just need an affordable unit. So it was like,
Right.
but it is hard, you know, for him to get up and admit that he needed some help like that on video, you know, but.
Okay,
On page 99, number 7, build new and strengthen existing regional and local partnerships and create, and preserve, to create, it's going to say this now. Build new and strengthen existing regional and local partnerships to create and preserve affordable housing. So we had this long discussion with the Board of Selectmen about, you know, making sure we had healthy partnerships, maybe get a local development corporation going. There's this entity called a CHODO, which automatically qualifies for HUD money. If you can get one in your community, they are like the only people that can get a certain bit of money from Home Consortium. They're the only people that can use community development block grant money to construct new housing. CDBG money can be used to acquire land for affordable housing, but not to actually construct the housing. So you need a CHODO. And they're pre-approved by US HUD to be this kind of entity. But that's addressing that comment. On page 100, I add to item number 1, the words with clear preference for mixed use. So it's continue to revitalize commercial areas and village centers with housing with clear preference for mixed use. That addresses that. On page 104, I added under continue to convert existing housing units to affordability, I added one of the selectmen's ideas that we concentrate on abandoned units in town. The buy down homeownership program could be revitalized by exploring the acquisition and rehabilitation of abandoned homes and conversion to deed restricted affordable homes. The buy down homeownership program is on hold right now because the housing market is just so. On page 107, I added a strategy to protect drinking water and open waters. Promote housing at locations that are situated or engineered to protect drinking water and open waters. So I just said that this general status is that the Town of Yarmouth Department of Public Works, in coordination with the Board of Selectmen, manages the town's efforts to protect the town's high-quality drinking water, including the acquisition of land critical to protect drinking water wellheads. And then the next step is that we should indicate areas critical to drinking water protection. I think the last one is on page 113, number 5. Provide methods to negate impacts of seasonal and short-term use of housing. So the current status is that the town regulates seasonal and short-term use of housing for vacationers as set by zoning bylaw, section 118, such that the units must be registered with the Department of Health, be safe and sanitary, and set a minimum rental period of 2 nights or more. So the next step is to engage in a detailed study on the impacts of seasonal and short-term use of housing on its housing market and include recommendations on how to limit or mitigate the negative impacts on the local housing market. One thing that towns do is they limit the number of units that can be used for Airbnb. What's interesting in that Provincetown report, I don't know if I ever sent it to you guys, I don't think so. The trust got a copy of this study of seasonal units on the Provincetown area. It was done by UMass Dartmouth, I think it was UMass Dartmouth. They have a policy center. And what they found out was that the increase in Airbnbs in P-Town really didn't take off units from the open market because those units that are being used for Airbnbs were seasonal housing anyways. They were just a way for people to, they were renting out their units anyways. Now they're doing it through Airbnb. It's just a way for them to help with their property taxes and their mortgage payments.
The towns, are people required to pay additional taxes when they're doing that?
Yeah, I think so. I'll have to
For an
check
Airbnb?
on that.
Airbnb,
It's like 3% or
Yes, you have to pay
6%.
taxes on Airbnbs.
but is it being carefully monitored? And how is that regulated is the issue. I know that that's something that towns were looking into doing, but I'm wondering how it's working and how it's monitoring. And I'm on this website called Cape Cod Marketplace, and I see, guess I can't swear, but I see the weirdest stuff posted, like what looks like a storage room, a storage space with a bathroom, and they're renting it, calling it a rental, or an attic space, and they're calling it a rental house, but it doesn't have a kitchen, it doesn't have a bathroom. We have a shared bathroom, and I'm thinking, I doubt that these places are legal. And I doubt that they have, you can't call a storage shed a rental.
Now, if you
You can't
list
call it housing, you can call it a storage shed rental maybe, but not housing.
If you list a unit on Airbnb, you have to have a state tax number,
Okay,
is how they track it.
so that's how they monitor it. So that means that the person has to be listed on Airbnb and doing it through them, as opposed to doing it
Freelance.
freelance or on the side.
And
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the local summer rental place on the Cape. I can't remember the name of it, it's in Orleans, and I can't remember whether they have whether you have to have a tax number or not.
Okay, so if you are going officially through Airbnb, then it's.
Because Airbnb actually files taxes for the people that have their units, that they have units for. And then, I think that got pushed through quite a while ago because there was no way to track it otherwise.
Right, and I think Provincetown has that. I don't know if Yarmouth does. I don't know, okay, thank you.
Yarmouth adopted
Okay,
a tax on short-term rental.
Yeah.
how you monitor it, not, if it's not through Airbnb.
I think
then
the
it's-
state had to pass something that it could be a local option, and then your town meeting had to adopt it, and you could do waivers like, I don't know, I remember there was a waiver of 4 weeks being discussed, or 2 weeks, so like if you,
You have to apply to the town to get a license to have a short-term rental over the summer. And they actually do an inspection. They come to your house and do an inspection to determine whether you're in compliance, mostly with health-related things and fire life safety kinds of things.
those things are so important.
But I have to tell you, some of what I'm seeing on Cape Cod Marketplace, that are being called rentals, is very, very concerning.
And what happens is, see, the health, towns would go through the rental listings in the newspaper. And then they went to Craigslist and they would follow those. So now they're on Cape Cod Marketplace.
It should be on Cape
No.
Cod Marketplace.
Oh, I see. They're dodging and
They
weaving.
go different places.
I see what
And
you're
then
saying, yeah.
the inspectors find them and look at them and track them down. And
They move to another site.
so I don't know if you have any comments, if you want to
So
take
we've
some
gone through the
time
whole
to.
thing. Do we have anything to say further to say about it? Or shall we accept it for changes?
If you,
As
yep,
is.
either way you want, if you want to say this is fine, go for it. It then goes to the, I have a couple of typos. It was good reading it out loud. That really
Right, yeah.
worked. So.
There are grammatical errors and stuff
some-
like that.
Yeah, I whipped this off real quick because I was just determined to keep going, but, it's gonna go to the town planner and the director of community development for one more round of review. And then to the Board of Selectmen. So if you want, we can, keep this with us for another month and finalize the comments at our next meeting. It's up to you.
Does that appeal to you folks? You want to look at this more? Or do you want to just say, well done? We like it the way it is.
Done.
I'm in well done mode myself.
Say well done, given a couple of corrections that need to be done.
All right.
Okay, so
Need
it's,
to vote on that, or-
So
there-
the motion would be to accept these comments, provided the typos will be corrected, and send it to the town planner and the director of community development for review before resubmission to the Board of Selectmen.
okay, so one of you folks could so move.
So moved.
Okay,
Second?
okay, John seconds. So now we'll vote on that motion for the approval of these revisions to the housing production plan. Josh?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Drew, aye.
Aye.
Myra? John?
Aye.
Aye.
Marcia. Okay, unanimously passed. Now, the next thing we got here, moving right along, ladies and gentlemen, is, okay, we did education outreach, PowerPoint, I think we're at PowerPoint presentation, right?
Hold on.
Mary has created a PowerPoint
So.
set of slides here, what used to be slides back in the old
The next thing
days.
is, yeah, you're right. Okay, so I brought this I did a PowerPoint to the Community Preservation Committee. They really liked it. wow. And they're like, you should get that on the website, right? So what I did was
Who did you do the PowerPoint to again?
Community Preservation Committee, so, the Affordable Housing Trust put in an application for $200,000 to the Community Preservation Committee. And every once in a while, I'll do like a full presentation to them. The application goes in every year, but I hadn't really done a full presentation to them in a while, and there's a lot of new members. So, that's where this came from. This is, it's gonna get changed, it's a little different from what I presented at the Community Preservation Committee, because I really drilled down into what the Affordable Housing Trust did, but there's lots of other things that we did. You know, the Community Development Department itself, without any money, creates affordable housing because we help people through the process. You know what I mean? We have zoning bylaws that require affordable housing. You know, and we help residents find affordable housing. We have a community development block grant from US HUD that helps us create affordable housing. And then we have the community preservation program itself funds and creates affordable housing. And then we have the Affordable Housing Trust. So this is like a draft for you guys to look at, to kind of think about, so that we can kind of take this on the road, use this as a basis for little videos. I do once in a while go to like the Rotary Club. You know, I am available if you're part of a club, even if it's a book club, you know, we can do that. If there's a, you know, a theater group. I don't know if there's one in Yemen, but like if you're part of a professional group or a different kind of community group,
Senior Center.
the senior center, we can just go and make this presentation. People will come. They love this kind of stuff. We can video it and put it on the website. I'd like all these pictures of the units we've created have all been funded by the trust. I would have to kind of, you know, expand that a little bit for other things that have funded affordable housing here in town. We have this amazing rehab program that the Community Preservation Committee funds directly with Hatch, Howard Ecumenical Council for Housing. They have done, you know, dozens of rehabs. And it's all sidewall shingles, right? And roofs. So the outside of the buildings look great afterwards. We've got like the best pictures of all these cute little houses that were really in need, like had serious wood rot on the outside, leaky roofs, and now they all look beautiful. So it's like a beautification program too.
Before and after photos would be nice.
Oh, those are so painful.
Well, they're
Again,
not, they're good.
you like them, all right.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
It is a good idea. It's just so painful to like be like, oh, that's what it used to look like.
That's how you know it's a really cool beautification.
Yep, you're right. I can do that. So I would say, you know,
But some things might have to be spelled out more for certain groups.
Okay.
Like I noticed it said CDBG.
oh, okay, yeah.
Nobody's going to know what that,
Yep.
well, somebody might, but what exactly, how does that work? Like, stuff like that, you know, like, things that are at all jargony will go right through people's brains. But if they're explained, people will get it. That's just one that I noted, you know. Or how does a buy-down program work?
Okay, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Buy down, that means this. Ready, what's a ready renter? You know, those are like terms that the public doesn't
Yeah.
know. So that would be cool, then you would, and that's a way of me finding out what that means without revealing that I'm stupid.
The Ready Renter program.
It works.
Housing is so loaded with acronyms,
know.
you get so used to it. And at one time, I did a whole a definition of terms,
Yes.
because I would be spilling off things and people saying, what?
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yep. Good idea.
But you think this is the right direction to
Yeah.
go? Okay, all right,
Absolutely.
good.
Are we moving now?
I think it would be, one thing is, I think it would be more effective doing it in person rather than posting it on the website. Because a lot of people aren't computer savvy, and just seeing it in person, they can ask questions and
Right.
be a little clearer on.
That's what I was thinking, like Mary explaining all this stuff to people.
How do you, have you ever seen the little animated guy on our website?
We love the animated guy.
Do?
I do.
We do?
We could use them for
I
the
do.
tiny, I love that guy. And we could have very, very short videos, you know, with him or her explaining some very basic things. You know, even if it says, you know, how do you find out about affordable housing? Do you know what I mean? But you're right. I think the in-person presentations are the key.
But it doesn't hurt to put it on the website
Right.
as well.
Right,
Yeah.
both.
Right.
Would be a good idea.
And, you know, you never know. You never, like, there's other town boards and committees. We could ask, do you want us to come, you know, like, I don't know, an hour before your normal time, and we can do this, you know, presentation to you before your normal meeting starts to whatever members show up. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That kind of
do,
stuff,
yeah.
like the age-friendly team, even the zoning board of appeals, you know. That way, if they're too busy, we can just do it to the people that are there and then go on from that. We have, you know, as you know, dozens and dozens and dozens of volunteers that are engaged in the town, and they all, I find that the committee members are the ones that go to town meeting, you know, so.
The more you do it, the better it'll get, right? Now we're moving on, I think. There's a lull. So the next thing on the list is affordable housing standards. You gave us a paper on that.
Yep, so I redlined the standards. I gave this to you without the red lines. I don't know if you had any comments. There's also a chart of rents. That was to kind of give you an idea how you felt about how we calculate rents now, and if we wanted to leave it that way or do what Barnstable's doing. Right now, we're at 80% AMI.
Well, isn't that a requirement for them to be counted in the?
Right. That's the state's,
Yeah.
the state allows affordable housing to be rented at 80% of area median income. So that's the rent calculation.
And for people to buy affordable housing, their income has to be at 80%
Right.
or below, but not above 80% of the median income.
So sometimes that was higher than this last column, which is the federal fair market rate rents. So the standards, our standards right now say it has to be the lower of the two. Well, right now, the federal fair market rate rents are through the roof. I never thought they would exceed what the state would consider was affordable. So if we wanna, we might wanna think about what the town of Barnstable is doing. They're not affordable to 80%, they're affordable to 65% of the area median income. And when they hold lotteries for those inclusionary zoning units, those scattered affordable rental units, they're getting plenty of people to apply.
So you mean in Barnstable, to be eligible for affordable housing, you must have an income at 65% or below of the area median income?
Yeah, and that rent has to be affordable to that rate. And
Yes.
that's for developments that are created through their zoning. They're called local action units.
Okay.
So these standards, they don't replace Chapter 40B. They only come into play when it's a local initiative program
Okay.
or friendly.
See, I didn't really
Chapter
get that
40B.
until this second.
Or is created by our zoning, our local zoning.
Okay, what's the status of our zoning at this minute in this regard?
For rent,
Yeah,
it would be 80% of area median income or the federal fair market
Right.
rate, whichever's lower.
so,
But right now, it doesn't seem, like, people are telling me the affordable rents that you're listing are not affordable.
okay, I
Right.
agree with that.
So if we bring it down to 65% of area median income, you're gonna be able to.
Okay. What process has to happen in the town for that to come into effect?
So, here's the red line,
Yeah.
right? You would have to vote to approve this, and it would be sent to the Board of
You
Selectmen
vote, then,
for approval.
yep,
These are actually technically policy of the Board of Selectmen.
okay,
Yep. But then you can use them when you're reviewing a Chapter 40B, an increase in rent, a request for the increase in rent, or one of these local action units that was created by a local bylaw.
okay.
When we first started requiring affordable housing with our local zoning, we didn't have anything like this. So, if something came in, they were extraordinary, the units were really small or kind of dumpy, and the developer wouldn't agree to rehab them, there was nothing for the committee to kind of hang their hat on and say, well, we're gonna cut your allowed rent by half. There was nothing in writing to allow you to do that. So sometimes we got away with it, sometimes we didn't. But this allows you to do that. The state reviews these units as well, and so they want to see something in writing. What's your policy on this?
We call it a Board of Selectmen reg
Board of Selectmen policy.
policy, I see,
You are an advisory committee,
right.
but you're also the Housing Partnership Committee, which is you have an official task when a Chapter 40B comes in front of you. But this just kind of covers those friendly Chapter 40B units and the units that are created by our local zoning.
Yeah,
So these comments in red are your edits,
Yes.
and I don't think I feel ready to
No.
do anything with this now, so what process would you like?
Read it and bring back your questions next time.
Okay,
memorize it.
Yeah.
I'll make a,
sorry?
Oh, I was just going to say that, there's a little more editing that needs to be done.
Okay.
Just words.
yep.
And so I can, maybe let you know what I found.
Can I send you the Word document? Would that be helpful, or, okay.
It's minor things. It's not really rises to the level of discussion at the committee meeting.
Well, I certainly would want time to look it over.
If you Google affordable housing standards, not a lot of towns have this. I wonder if people grab ours and use it.
So,
I'm like, ah.
so in Barnstable, their policy of having it set at 65% of area median income is done by the same exact kind of
They
thing?
have it in their zoning,
Okay.
their ordinance. Remember, they have a town council.
Yeah, yep.
So, do you know what I mean? So like if I was in Barnstable, I would be going as an ordinance change
Okay.
for this. But we have zoning by town meeting. This doesn't rise to that level.
Status, yeah.
The other thing is you want to keep some of this stuff flexible. So one of the things in here was like, we don't want developments that are 100% affordable housing. Well, then we approved 2 that were 100% affordable housing. Why? Because
It was a
couldn't-
good idea.
right, it was it matched that site, right? The Cavalier, we desperately wanted that redeveloped, and for the affordable housing developers to come in, they only do 100% affordable housing for that sized development.
So where did the we don't do 100% affordable housing come from? Where does that come from?
That was just the sentiments of the committee and kind of like staff at that time.
There's been a lot of studies that mixed income housing actually helps bring the lower income renters or whoever up into
Right.
some better.
Well, that's, Columbia Point housing projects. I was a student at UMass Boston, and the Columbia Point was all low income. And that was completely, when they took that, I forget how it all happened, but it became very mixed. But one of the processes in it becoming mixed is they really wanted to push out the low-income people.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful in how you proceed with some of that, too. But I do agree, and I've looked at that stuff, too.
Yeah.
That the mixed is
Mixed income.
advantageous.
Yep.
Do you know if this is area median income or state median income?
It's Barnstable County.
Barnstable
area.
County, so it is area median income. Okay.
Okay, so we're taking that as homework, right, for our next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we at now, then? Committee charge, housing zoning bylaw.
I gave you copies of those last time. I don't know if anybody had any comments on them. If not, we can just
I
leave them
don't.
on the agenda.
So that puts us to reports and actions, number 4 now?
Yes. Okay, so I'll do, if you don't mind, the chair's report.
Okay.
You have 2 items in your packet that are super interesting. It's the letter from the governor.
Yeah.
It's a cover letter for the filing of the Affordable Homes Act. And then the governor's office took that and made a fact sheet.
Right.
So it's the $4 billion housing bond bill that Governor Healy has introduced to the legislature. And this is the fact sheet, and boy, is it a big bill. So, there's some stuff in here that's new, there's some stuff that's being funded at a higher level than ever before. One thing that's interesting is that we have low-income housing tax credits to create affordable rental units. Well, now they're gonna offer a product like that for affordable homes. Unfortunately, it's still for developers and not for the Yarmouth Affordable Housing Trust, but that was interesting that they're gonna do tax credits for homeownership developments. Another thing is, they're really looking at making sure that public housing has the funds they need to rehab units so that they can all be occupied. They did a study showing, I don't know,
A lot of vacant units in the Boston area.
2,000 units
I was
were
stunned by
vacant
that.
statewide. I mean, that's a lot. But some of these units are getting older, and they need new bathrooms, and they need new kitchens. The other thing I thought that was really interesting, which it's on page 5, and it's seasonal communities designation. So we're a seasonal community. There still is page 5.
My pages are not.
No,
I'm on this one.
called the fact sheet.
Oh, so I'm referring to the fact sheet
Yeah,
is
yeah.
goes with
Sorry.
this, okay.
Yeah.
I did not
Kind of
understand that,
better
okay.
more user-friendly
think it's-
version
yeah.
of the same thing. Page 5.
Thank you.
Seasonal communities designation, which is kind of like a shout out to how the Cape and the Berkshires are different communities, types of communities, because we have a lot of seasonal housing. So when they talk about, and this is part of the bill, is an initiative to make accessory apartment units by right statewide. Yep, by right statewide.
Yeah.
Basically, they're looking at single-family zoning to just be duplex zoning statewide. So a lot of communities probably won't object to that because it's dense already. In a community that is having water quality problems because of no infrastructure, doubling flushes from single-family zoning is going to be a problem. So they acknowledged that a little bit. I was on a workshop on this. It's just in 1 hour held by CHAPA. And they acknowledged that a little bit. And also the impacts of what that would do with respect to Airbnb rentals. Because if the state wants these units to be used year-round, if you flooded that market in a seasonal community, what would happen? Would they really produce more year-round units, or would they just be producing Airbnb units? So,
Where is the bullet or the section on,
page
Assessment.
5, it's kind of like middle seasonal.
I see the seasonal, but I don't see it where you're referring to with
ADUs?
the
You
ADUs.
know, that's actually on page 3. I didn't see it either, but I just found it this second.
Thank you.
Yep, accessory dwelling units as of right.
No, I couldn't find it either. You know what jumped out at me on that is it says prohibit owner occupancy requirements.
Right,
Well, that's, Yarmouth is going to go completely bluey if the,
yeah.
that does
So-
not compute, ladies and gentlemen, in this town.
And they find that the communities that want owner-occupied properties are the same ones that they'd put in the seasonal community
Yeah, there you go.
designation.
Okay,
Yeah,
so there's a issue there that's
yeah.
going to be an issue for a while, I think.
So CHAPA is going to start to have workshops on all these sections. So I think I'll join CHAPA. I think there's a fee, we can pay for that fee, for you to join CHAPA as part of this. I think so. I think so. I have to check on that.
So I had a question about something that I like and everybody's going to hate, but the local option transfer fee. And it's great. I mean, at least the municipality can decide whether they want to go with that or not. But a regional affordable housing commission, e.g. Cape Cod Commission, I don't get it. They're not really what I would think is a housing commission.
The tasks that the Cape Cod Commission used to do with respect to housing is now kind of done by the Home Consortium.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't, because they no longer have a housing officer.
No.
I think they delegated it. I don't know. It's by state statute that they're supposed to.
Aye.
And they used to.
They used to, and I wonder if they,
Another little issue.
the fact that it was moved to the Home Consortium, maybe they took required votes to transfer it over to there.
And the home consortium used to be under them, as now is under Barnstable County.
Now it's
Department of
under,
Human
yeah,
Services.
yep.
How significant is the transfer over $1 million? How many transfers in Yarmouth are $1 million or more at this point?
I can find out. That's a good question. I think we're en route for that to be a significant amount of money. The market is a little bit quiet right now,
Yeah.
but the price, everybody's price value has gone up. It's quiet right now because of interest rates, but it'll return. Yarmouth has one of the highest densities on Cape Cod. And you see some, ordinary houses here, there, and everywhere. And then you'll come upon a neighborhood and be like, whoa. Right? We have pockets of waterfront luxury housing.
Yes, we do.
And a lot of it's historic, so we don't have these big mansions coming in, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like Yarmouth's quiet secret, is all the historic homes that are absolutely beautiful. But when one of those sell, it's quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the ones in Bass River and places like that, they're so family ensconced that
Yep.
you probably don't see sales on those at all, but, pardon?
Yeah, that's a good point, a lot
Yeah.
of family.
I wonder if there'll be a transfer. See how it says adopt a transfer fee? I don't know.
Yes.
Where are you? I don't-
I'm on page 3,
Local
third item,
option
local option
transfer
transfer
fee.
fee.
the
That's a
third
good question.
point.
Okay, okay.
The next one is what I like, inclusionary zoning by simple
But they actually
majority.
mentioned Cape Cod Commission. Okay, sorry.
I think when the housing choice bill got passed, it did have in there a requirement for 10% affordable housing for all the MBTA communities, and it was line item vetoed by Governor Baker. That was just, that affordability requirement got struck. So I'm glad that that Governor Healy is seeing that that's important. I think a lot of communities will tolerate density if there's a side community benefit like affordable housing.
Well, both Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard were, I don't know what happened to it, but I was working on the Community Actions Needs Assessment Plan. They were both looking at this transfer fee option. When the property gets sold, there's a certain amount of a fee that
Right.
goes to affordable housing. And they were both on board with that, both islands,
Yeah.
and they were joining forces to get that passed. I don't know where it went,
I
but
think there is a Martha's Vineyard Housing Bank now. So that takes that transfer fee.
when you talk about $1 million, it's really, you know, that's happens both of those places.
The surplus public land disposition reforms, this is gonna be very interesting. I mean, the governor is looking at surplus land, not only, that has a general state use designation, but like MBTA land. You know what I mean? Like land for all, they're going through all their departments. They're also looking at, state parks. State parks have been used before for state use. So,
You're just organized.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't looked at all of this because I was trying to catch up with my classwork, student stuff. But this is interesting to see them being more proactive, because at one time they come up with developing 400 affordable units per year, and they thought for the whole state? Okay. Didn't overly impress me at all.
now, right, so now they're looking to develop 200,000 new housing units statewide.
Okay.
And you're right, it's like, I'll have to find my notes. It's a subsection of that.
Well, right in the letter, produce 200,000 homes by 2030 rather, sorry.
Right. What they're saying is this legislation won't get you there. It's a beginning on getting there, basically.
Right. But this legislation has to pass,
Yeah.
so
Right,
it'll be interesting to see.
and it's a bond bill. Every 5 years, they do a housing bond bill. This is like Uber bond bill. This is like the biggest one. And it has these policy changes too. So let me find out for you how to join CHAPA, if we can, CHAPA, I always describe them as a lobbying organization, so I'm not sure if the town can pay you guys to join. I have free membership because I'm a municipal employee. You guys might qualify for that.
Special municipal employees,
They're
maybe.
special municipal employees.
Municipal
And
volunteers, not employees.
it's important, like CHAPA, the meetings, they used to, first of all, before COVID, you used to have to go to Boston for CHAPA meetings. So nobody from the Cape ever went. Now they're all Zoom. You'll get on a Zoom, it has 400 people on it. I mean, it's like they have a very active group. There was almost 400 people on this Zoom meeting.
And they used to come to Cape Cod. I've been at meetings with them on Cape Cod where they were
They used
very
to come
active.
once a year to hear what was going on.
Right.
Now they do that by Zoom. But anyways, I think CHAP is going to be pretty, like the place to go.
That will be addressing this.
The other person is, the other two people that are going to be important on this is your state rep, Julian Sear, and your state senator, Julian Sear, state rep, Chris
Flanagan?
Flanagan.
Chris
Do you have
Flanagan.
two state reps?
In Yarmouth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Flanagan is only part of the
Yeah,
town.
and the Kip Diggs.
Diggs?
Kip
Okay.
Diggs is the other part of the town.
Diggs is,
He's Barnstable, but he might come into, what?
It's a funny thing, it's
Yeah.
got like, you
Yeah.
know, several precincts that are in with Barnstable for some reason, or at least one.
So if you're interested, I can contact their offices and see if they're going to be doing anything for the public to get involved in.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Because, you know, you want to express, yeah, ADUs are good, ADUs, no, you know, this
Owner-occupied.
surcharge is what we need. No, we already have enough money. You know, you want to be thinking about what to say to your state rep and state senator. But I do like that seasonal community designation. I think that's,
well, it's been covered in a lot of the policies that the state does, is they overlook the needs of the Cape and Islands. So this is interesting.
right.
I mean, they complain that happens with education, happens with a lot of other components that the Cape and Islands is overlooked. Because Barnstable County is unique, even more unique than Dukes and Nantucket, because they have, Nantucket has a much higher cost of income, not just cost of living, but income as well. Wish I could remember everything I learned every time when I did all that big report and,
Well, it's so funny because when I'm talking to the other housing staff people in other towns, it
Right.
really matters what part of the Cape you're on,
oh, yeah.
what there's some areas that has no land, they don't even have redevelopment opportunities, and then there's some that have too many redevelopment opportunities. So, a lot of people are being hit by traffic right now because of all the work on the bridges.
Right.
So they're really feeling that. All right, so that's the chair's report.
Home Consortium.
Do we have a representative in the home consortium now? Is that,
Yeah, so it's Lorraine. Lorraine was there, and I missed most of it. What the Home Consortium is doing is they are managing a grant to develop a regional housing office.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the Barrett Planning Group was hired by the county to figure out what are the needs for a regional housing office and what's the best way to meet those needs. So I commented that that having regional lottery services would be good. The Yarmouth Affordable Housing Trust does that. It'd be nice if the county started to do that again. So that's that.
That's all?
Yep, that's what I have.
So the Yarmouth Housing Authority, I'm the representative from them. Their main order of business was still to, this month was to continue planning that so-called Forest Road project, and we worked with the Mass Housing Partnership representative, Laura Schufelt, who is sharpening our RFP that we're going to send out and doing more study on what septic needs there will be and what stormwater needs there will be. And we working on how much to specify in the RFP going forward. And we are being monitored by the public who attends those meetings to see if we're on the up and up. And that's the most important thing from the Housing Authority. So that brings us, does that make sense, Mary?
Yes, thank
And
you.
we're on to the Affordable Housing Trust.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So we meet tomorrow.
I'm in a meeting, let me call
And
you
the
back.
big thing is that Habitat bought a portion of the property at 121 Route 28 with
Yeah.
trust money for the development of 5 to 6 affordable homes. So that's
Nice.
the big.
Where's the, what was the address again?
1121 Route 28.
1121. Yeah, right across the street here, right?
Yeah, so it's actually, they had to split the parcel. I don't know what the numbers are gonna be, because it was a condo. It was phase 1 and phase 2 is condominiumized, so they actually had to dissolve the condominium, split the parcel, and then Habitat would buy the land. So-
Oh, so this is Bornstein site
Yes,
across the street, yeah,
Yep.
okay.
yep. And I have to give them a little bit of a shout out. I think the official owner was Shoestring Properties, is that right?
Yeah.
But they really worked with Habitat in the town for over a year on the sale of this property. There were some things that were complicated, but it wasn't easy for everybody to get this parcel free and clear for purchase by Habitat, because Habitat cannot buy condominiumized land. They won't do it, so kudos to Habitat and Shoestring Properties for getting it done. It's gonna be nice.
Sorry about that. You should
Now-
shut it off.
On to planning board now?
The thing about the planning board is that town meeting is on November 7th.
Yeah.
And the proposed changes to the accessory apartment bylaw are going to be on the warrant for November 7th. The meeting starts, I have a start time at 6 o'clock. That seems a little early. But anyways, I'll confirm that for you. But it's at the new intermediate school on Station Avenue. Remember, Matakees
They
is
have a gigantic
closed.
auditorium there that'll,
Don't
You've
sit
ever
in the
been there?
back, sit up
Yeah.
front. Sit up front. Another really interesting bylaw, and I don't think it's a zoning bylaw, it's just a town code bylaw, is a wetlands bylaw. And I looked at it, I don't think it's an impediment in any way to the development of affordable housing in town. But our conservation administrator is Brittany DiRenzo.
Renzo?
Yep, DiRenzo. And if anybody had, DiRienzo.
Okay,
Her first name is Brittany.
gotcha.
And her extension here is extension 1288. So it's 508-398-2231, extension 1288. So when you're looking at the warrant, and I usually try to email out the link to you as soon as I have it. If you have any questions about the wetlands bylaw, Brittany said she was available to answer your questions. I looked at it, it just, based on increases in areas impacted by, possibly impacted by flooding, et cetera, the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission would be increased. So it's just to look at areas that are going to be subject to more water as sea level change happens and all that.
Sea level rise,
Level rise, climate change.
soft pedal it.
Okay, so, it does cover portions of Route 28. But I think it's good because with those, that extra review, you can figure out ways to prevent damage if there's flooding. So I think it's a good thing. But anyways, I don't see it as an impediment to affordable housing. And that's planning board and town meeting warrant.
Okay. Now we're on Community Preservation Committee.
And I'm the representative on that committee.
Okay.
And as Mary said, she came, right now we're reviewing RFPs. And Mary came and did a presentation on the funding request for the Affordable Housing Trust. And I guess the Hetch is not up for funding this year, but it's just a report on the amount of funds that have been spent.
Yep,
And where
the
those are.
trust put in a request for $200,000. That was the only application for affordable housing or community housing funding this round. And I think that's okay.
But Mary did a lovely presentation, and we're in the process of reviewing all these and having people come in for interviews, and then we vote.
Yeah.
Myra, are you the Affordable Housing Trust representative on this committee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had some technical difficulties going to that meeting with Zoom. So I was only able to hear the very beginning, unfortunately. Do they ever post their Zoom meetings on the website?
I'll ask.
I'd like to
I think
hear the
it's
rest of
recorded.
it. Yeah, I noticed that some meetings that I was interested in, like, haven't really been up there since March.
Wow.
Yeah, different committees. So, but that one I really would like to see.
And John, I don't think I've met you before. Are you representing any other town committee? Okay,
No.
He's at large.
he's at large, okay. So John and Drew are at large.
So I met John through DJ Sullivan. Remember DJ Sullivan? He was on this committee. He did a lot of volunteer work for Habitat.
Yes,
And
yes.
he came in and said, I got somebody. Luckily, John followed through and put in the, well, he's so funny. He's like, I don't want to resign until I find a replacement. And so, there you go.
So when Marcia steps down at the end of the year, then we'll have to get a replacement for her.
Right. And
Don't we have an alternate?
Palm has been appointed an alternate.
yeah,
So,
right. Remember
Who?
Palm?
Okay.
She attended by Zoom at times.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would, that rings a bell or not, but bright young woman,
right.
nation.
Yes.
So as soon as Masha sends in something in writing about her plans,
Well, you need that.
and you
Okay.
can do that now.
Okay.
You can say, you know,
Send you an
then
email.
I can make sure Palm knows, so that I know that. Right, I know she's typically on. I know that she'll want to start attending, so she'll hit the ground running.
So do we need to say something about Department of Community Development?
Just they're getting ready for town meeting.
All right.
They're usually responsible for more than half of the town meeting warrant. So usually after town meeting, everybody takes a big sigh of relief. They are working super hard on that, on the reuse of the marina site. You know, they're working we have two big projects on Route 28 that involve wetlands, restoration of wetlands, right? The old marina site, the old drive-in site, the old drive-in
You
site.
mean the old
Never got to
drive-in
be a
site?
marina.
It never got to be in the marina. The old drive-in site
Scared me a minute.
Plus-
I thought, what the heck is that?
where the Yankee Village used to be,
Say
right? The
again?
Yankee Village,
Yankee Village, yeah.
right? That motel.
Right.
That's at what, is it 281 Route 28? But in that area, the high 200s. And so both of those involve wetlands restoration. You would think it'd be the easiest thing in the world. We all want to restore Western. Oh gosh, the review is like intense. It's intense. I think it's more intense than destroying wetlands, to tell you the honest truth. Yeah, it's really intense, and they're big and they're complicated. So they're spending a lot of time getting that done. And it's going to be great for Route 28. Oh, I should put that in the HPP. That there are efforts to,
Protecting wetlands,
Well, there's an RFP to do a study on
rivers,
the wetlands and,
ponds.
you know, what property belongs to the town and what property is privately owned, and clarify what's what.
I think it was, they would just purchases, there was just a decision to make these open space again.
That's right, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it just kind of, everything just kind of, everybody involved just thought that was the best thing, was to have public access to these wetlands, to restore the wetlands and have easy access with, you know, nice pathways
There'd be parks,
and viewing it, right.
a certain kind of park.
Right. And why do people come to the Cape? They come to the Cape to look at beautiful nature. So this wouldn't be like,
Not a park with pickleball courts. A natural habitat type park.
right, that would, where there'd be low impact access. Maybe a kayak launch, maybe, you know, some nice pathways. So, anyways.
Hey, I'm getting excited because we're almost done.
Yes.
How about you guys?
Yeah.
Are you with me? Are we down to upcoming meetings now?
Can I just say something
Okay,
quick?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm planning to go on Thursday to the Housing Assistance Corporation's Summit, second annual Housing to Protect Cape Cod Summit. And they were able to get the Secretary of Housing and Livable Communities to come speak there.
Nice.
Right.
And the one thing that I'm really looking forward to is a presentation called Navigating Short-Term Rentals and Local Strategies to Create Housing, and it's folks from Provincetown and Nantucket.
Oh.
That is really good.
So I am looking forward to that.
This is this Thursday, is it virtual or in person?
I think it's in person, and they said that they are full.
Okay.
There's a waiting list to get in now, but,
I think I got all the emails and I didn't look at them because I was too busy.
yeah. But, you know, what I'm going to do is get all the information that I can, and then
That's
maybe
great.
write something up and share it. So.
Good. That's really good of you.
That's wonderful.
I do want to know about that short-term rental thing, for sure.
So our next regular meeting is November 13th. Is that good for everybody still?
I guess. As far as I know, it's okay for me.
Oh, I have it on my calendar already, okay.
Sounds done.
Yep.
So that's what we have. And does anybody want to meet in working group?
Oh, I had a question about that. I think, were we going to find out from the planning board if they wanted us to assist in outreach for the ADU? Weren't we going to do that?
Yeah, I forget if I emailed Kathy or not. I thought I didn't get anything back.
Yeah, all right, that's fine. I just thought, I think we were going to just offer and, you know.
So the,
I vaguely remember sending an email out, but I'm not sure that I heard anything back. I'll have to get back to you right away. So what, I think they asked me what kind of things we were talking about. It would be more like a flyer? I mean, I don't think I'm stumbling here.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I
don't
think we
think
were
they
just,
have
we
an-
didn't know whether they even needed, you know, anybody
Right.
to do that. So we were just going to find out, and if they don't, that's fine, you know.
Yeah. I don't think they have an outreach plan.
Yeah.
I think they're relying on the newspaper publishing the warrant and posting on the website.
Okay? Taking a note to yourself there?
I think unless you guys want to meet in working group on something,
I think I'm going to wind up, like, doing this again next month for this meeting, right? Being the chairperson for the meeting. I'd like to meet with you before the meeting. That might help.
so the next meeting is the 13th.
Yeah.
The 10th, town hall is closed. So do you want me to post working groups on the 9th, November 9th?
I would show up, just because of this, yeah.
So typically what's been happening at the working group meetings is that by that point, your packet is ready. So we usually just go through the packet. So.
Well, I've taken all the papers off the table in front of me. That
you're
means
ready
that
to
we
go.
may have completed the meeting, pretty much, unless there's something that I haven't thought of, which I probably haven't.
Move to adjourn?
Myra moves to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll have a vote. Marcia?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Myra? Drew? Aye.
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Josh? Meeting is adjourned.